Oh my God. What's up, guys? It's Danielle. And yes, it's been a good minute. I know. Don't beat me up. I'm still trying to work on my consistency, okay? I still am trying to get the hold of this whole YouTube thing. I love it, but like sometimes I just get really overwhelmed and I procrastinate bad. When was the last time I seen you guys? Like, I want to say back in like maybe April. That was the beginning of this year. It is literally October. So yeah, it's been a second. I just want to apologize for that. Before I get started on the actual video, I just feel I gotta update you guys on the obvious. I mean, clearly this is a different bedroom. It's my old bedroom. It's my childhood bedroom. I'm back at home. Yes. I know I was just saying how like, oh, I moved out. I'm in my own apartment. I mean, life happens. So to keep a long story short, I was living in my apartment in the beginning of the year with a family member, a cousin of mine, and I mean, I loved it there, but we couldn't get along. We wasn't compatible as roommates. So I took it upon myself to just come back home because I got the privilege and opportunity to do so. I mean, it was no biggie coming back to the house, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try again. Just because that didn't work out doesn't mean that it can't work out for me. It's just that wasn't the time. So that's all. Back at the house, nothing different. I don't know what else has happened. I've had a summer just like anybody else, just doing new things, hanging out with new people, learning new stuff. I mean, that's literally like why I'm making this video now, because I'm like, it's been like 4, 5, 6 months. I've learned a lot of things, and honestly, we can touch back on the forgiveness topic because I think I'm coming to terms a little bit. So I have been thinking for a while whether or not I was going to, have this type of video, mainly because like the whole premise of my YouTube is to talk about mental health, is to talk about personal growth, spirituality, self-discovery. I've been through a lot. Somewhat, I've touched on some of it in my last couple of videos, but I personally have been through a lot. And I have learned so much through my healing journey, and so that is why I'm here to kind of like share my thoughts, share my feelings, and be vulnerable to you guys, because I feel like it's important. And I love my friends, I love my peers, I love my supporters. I feel like I can provide you guys some tools, some opinions, some ideas, advice, help, whatever. I'm just trying to be me, and I feel like being me is what helps other people feel confident and comfortable with being themselves, because we all got problems, we all got issues, we all got challenges. I want to just find a sense of normalcy in that. You don't have to pretend like everything's okay. Back to the premise of what I want to talk about today. It's something very personal, something I've chosen to keep to myself for a while, but I think that I am starting to be more comfortable with opening up about it, because I think that it's important. Not just to like throw myself out there, but I think it's important because I feel like there's a lot of people close and dear to my heart who can relate to what I have to say. I wanted to open up about my discovery of borderline personality disorder. More specifically, me having borderline personality disorder. I've been living with it since a very young age. I didn't realize that I had it until like more into high school, early college, but I knew for a while that I was different. Not in a bad way, but I knew something was different, And before I even get into like me, I feel like it's important for me to discuss the terms, the correct definitions, and just kind of clarify the differences between different mental health, disorders and things like that. First of all, I just want to say that it is not a bad thing to have any sort of what did it call? I mean, this one is a personality disorder, but like just mental health illness. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that is developed or inherited, and it's just happens to anybody. It can happen to anybody. It doesn't make you less than or worse than or anything like that compared to the next person. We are all given our own challenges, and we all learn how to work through them with our own tools. Everybody's different. So that's why I just want to make it clear that like this is nothing to be ashamed of. I know I used to be ashamed of it for a while, but I don't know. I'm in my 20s now. I just turned 25. And I'm really starting to like just accept me as a whole. The pretty parts and the not so pretty parts. It's okay, because I feel like I've been carrying it well. I feel like I carry it very well, and not in a way where I'm suppressing who I am, but more of just, this is me and this is me. You take it as you want, and if you don't like it, I mean, it's okay. Borderline personality disorder, BPD. I want to say that it's usually mixed up with BP, which is bipolar disorder. I want to make clear that bipolar and borderline personality disorder are two different things. They may have some similar symptoms, but very, very, very different things. The way that I had discovered early on that I may have possibly had it was through my interactions with friends and different relationships, and just paying attention to my own personal patterns and overall like feelings and emotions and intensities that kind of go up and down. I want to go over an overview of just what the symptoms of borderline personality disorder looks like, and just the overall like commonalities. That's not a word, I don't think. The overall common things that you can see within people. I first want to say that it is more common in girls than it is in boys, and this is a condition that is developed through very, very traumatic experiences that a person has been through dealing with relationships. It can be through family, siblings, parents. It can be through friendships and betrayal. It can be through heartbreak, through relationships. It can be a number of all three of those things, but it is a condition that's usually developed and not so much inherited or like genetic, like passed down. Again, like I said, I've been through quite a few things, so it makes sense that it has developed as I've grown up, but I don't want to feel ashamed of it anymore. So I just want to bring light to it today. I want to be able to provide some facts, provide some insight, and provide some advice on those of you who relate, and how you can manage with it, how you can work on different coping mechanisms, where you can find help, anything like that. So borderline personality disorder is a mental health condition that affects the way people feel about themselves and others, and it makes it hard for them to function in everyday life. It includes a pattern of unstable, intense relationships, as well as impulsiveness and unhealthy ways of seeing themselves. The impulsiveness involves having extreme emotions and acting or doing things without thinking about themselves first. So people with borderline personality disorder have a strong fear of abandonment, usually developed from early childhood. Even though they may desire or want to have loving and long-lasting relationships, the fear of abandonment is usually so great it causes many mood swings and many outbursts of anger, and it leads to impulsiveness and sometimes self-harm, self-injury, or thoughts of suicide and self-sabotage, where they're usually pushing a lot of people away even though they really, really desire connection. So I found out about this very unique tool. I really love it. This is probably the only time where I genuinely like AI, because AI scares me. But there's this tool online called Notebook LM by Google. Basically, it's a site where you can upload a lot of sources any sources. It can be your own sources, like my journal entries, or it can be stuff that you found on the internet. Upload everything on there, and AI can summarize it for you. It can answer questions for you. It can give you so many different things, like about like the sources that you put in there. So I just decided to throw in my journal entries from all the way back from like 2019, just to kind of see what more in-depth information I can get about myself, what else I can learn, and for it to help me kind of translate what I've written into words that like my audience, my friends and supporters could like understand. But don't use the internet to self-diagnose. I know sometimes I do that, but I go to therapy, so I got it clarified. But do not use the internet to self-diagnose. You do need to find a mental health professional and or a doctor. Do not take my words. You can take them with precaution, but do not take them and run with it, okay? If you suspect anything of that sort, I suggest that you seek out a mental health professional. And if you need help with that, you can talk to me personally and I can help you figure that out. Several reoccurring events happened in the author's journal entries that led them to believe that they may have borderline personality disorder. These reoccurring events are intense and unstable relationships, the fear of abandonment and frantic efforts to avoid it, impulsivity and self-destructive behaviors, chronic feelings of emptiness, and transit stress-related paranoia and dissociation. So those were the main things. And it found those things through just reading my entries and picking out the sources that support those entries. I'm gonna do my very best when I'm talking about these things not to name drop people in my life. Even though this is my channel, this is my thing, my opinions, my journey, I do not want to out anybody else or their business. Yes, there have been many people in my life who have affected me, whether good or bad. It's not to shine a light on that person specifically. We are talking about me and what I learned through that person, but not, oh, this person did XYZ and that is the reason why I'm struggling with this today, like, no. I want to talk about some specific relationships that have played a significant role in me developing BPD. One of them is through family dynamics. I will talk about a couple of long-term relationships that I had, and a couple of friendships as well. A pattern that I first noticed when meeting new people or somebody, whether it's a friend or like a crush or anything, the first pattern that I noticed is that I genuinely gained so much excitement. Like, the person could say, hey, I think we should be friends, and I am just like super giddy, like more than the average person. And it's because I really desire to have like deep connection with people. And so from jump, I'm just like, this is gonna be my best friend, or this is gonna be the love of my life. Like, I just start putting them immediately on a pedestal. I didn't notice that at first, especially when I was young, like middle school, you know, early high school. I didn't know I was doing that. But the immediate pattern, the first pattern that I noticed was putting new people on a pedestal immediately and not allowing them to have the room to just be a human being, because they're not perfect and they're not going to be able to live up to these expectations that I give them. I put on these little rose-like glasses, and I think that that person is just everything that I want to be. I think they carry themselves well. I feel like they are secure with themselves and very lovable, very attractive, very charming, like all the qualities that I want in a person, I like project onto them. And I think like they have it all. I need to have them in my life so that I can have those qualities too. Especially when I'm receiving very like reciprocal energy, where that person is just talking to me all the time, wanting to see me all the time, hang out, wanting to text every single day. Like, I think this person is the most perfect person ever, because they're giving me all this attention that I'm not used to, but I desire so much. So I think that they're just up here, I'm down here, and I want to get up there with them. That's not a good thing. I didn't see nothing wrong with it at first, but that is not a good thing at all, because guess what? I lose myself in the midst of all of that. I'm so consumed on who that person is that I forget who I am. And now everything, my moods, my decision making, my thought process now revolves around them. It's not good for them because it puts a lot of pressure on them. Now this person feels like they have to withhold a certain energy when it comes to me. They may feel overwhelmed at the intense love and admiration that I give to them. And it makes it hard for them to make mistakes, or it brings a lot of guilt within them when they aren't able to live up to those expectations. I'm gonna bring up texting because that's my thing. My problem here, texting. When I like you, if I'm into you, if we're friends, like, I gotta talk to you every single day. Good morning, good night. We may not have to text all day long, but I gotta hear from you every single day long. Every single day. And sometimes people, like when they first meet me and stuff like that, like they can keep up with it for like, you know, a couple months. But naturally, like, that's just gonna die down because everybody has a life. For me though, I always felt like if I can make time for this person, no matter how busy I am, they can do the same. And I get upset when they don't. Like, I used to think because I can do this, everybody else should be fully capable of doing this. But through learning and through understanding myself, I realized that that's just the choice that I was choosing to make. I was choosing to put other people's needs before mine and making sure that I talk to people every single day despite me being busy, because I felt like that was the way to keep from being abandoned. A person with BPD's greatest fear is being abandoned or forgotten about. Since I was young, I've lost a lot of friends. I've been heartbroken a lot. I've been betrayed a lot. I've been heartbroken within my own family plenty of times. And through those relationships, I thought that love was supposed to be earned. Not necessarily just deserved, but you had to earn it. And one of those ways of earning it was to always be available. To bring it back to texting, I text back really fast. I text back every single day. I text back all day long if you want to. I'm always going to be available for you because I have such a great fear of being forgotten about. So I have to make my presence known at all given times. I deserve love, acceptance, and connection regardless of being available at all times. Like, you can go a day or you can go a few hours without saying anything, and that person is still gonna remember who you are. It took a minute. It's still taking me a second to come to terms with that. I still kind of struggle with that now. Even though I'm very aware of it, I still struggle with that. But that was the main thing that I had to drill into my head. People can remember that you exist, and you don't need to be loud and in their face all the time for them to know that. So people with borderline personality, just like anybody else, they have insecurities, but their insecurities are very large. They're very in depth. They have a lot of internal wounds from being left behind, from being forgotten about, from being betrayed. They take that and look back at themselves as unloving, undeserving, and unworthy of the things that they desire. So even though they really desire to have these connections with friends and to have that relationship where they live off to be like happily ever after, inside their own mind is telling them over and over, you don't deserve those things. Those things will always be a dream. They will always be a dream that you'll never be able to reach. And unfortunately, that was just a thought pattern that was put into their mind through the betrayal because they have a hard time letting go. In my last YouTube video, I talked about forgiveness and my struggles of letting go. I even talked a little bit about what happened to me in college, being heartbroken by roommates and exes and all sorts of stuff like that. People who have this personality disorder, they don't just want friends. They want a very deep personal connection with people. They don't want to just have surface level, conversations or surface level interactions. They want to really know who you are and really understand you, and they want that to be reciprocated. I want you to know where I come from, what I struggle with, what I go through, and what I hope for in the future, because I feel like if we are locked in like that, that's a wrap. Like, you're in this for life. And I get heartbroken because that is not expected out of everybody. Not every single friendship is going to have that level of depth. That's what I want, and I can still get that through some people, but you won't get that with everybody. You won't. So I'm gonna give like a quick little background of how I grew up. I grew up in a big family. I'm in a family of 9. I am the oldest girl of 7 kids. Many friends and family and supporters know this about me already because I don't shut up about my family. I take being the oldest daughter very seriously. It is a difficult position to be in. I love it, but there are many parts about it that I hate. When I was a child, at first it was just me who was the youngest girl and the only girl, and I had 2 older brothers. Well, I said had. I still have 2 older brothers. About 8 years later, my mom had my younger sister Nadia, and then a year after that she had triplets. So I now have 4 younger sisters and 2 older brothers. So I then went from the youngest and only girl to now the oldest girl. I became a middle child, let's say that. When our family expanded, it was kind of abrupt because, like I said, it was just me and my brothers for a good while, and then by the time I hit like 9 years old, all of a sudden we went from a family of 5 to a family of 9. Something in my brain switched. I don't know, I've always been kind of a smart kid. I do consider myself to be a smart person. That is one thing that I will take pride in. I do believe that I'm smart and I'm gifted in certain ways. I knew as a child just how big of a difference it was to jump from this size of a family to a big size of a family, and how difficult it may be for my parents to also adjust to not taking care of 3 kids but now taking care of 7 kids. And once I noticed that, made that realization, unfortunately in my head I just thought as a little child, I don't want to be a burden. I mean, my parents, they got 4 babies. I had an older brother who was going through his own challenges. I'm not trying to throw his business out there, but my oldest brother struggled with drug addiction. And that was also a big deal or struggle, challenge that my family and I went through, that I went through personally. So with him dealing with his struggles, and then my sisters being so young and my parents just having to juggle it all, I kind of became a very mute child. I did not talk much at all. I was very shy. I went through a lot of issues as far as like expression, especially emotional expression. I'm not gonna say that I was always dismissed by my parents, but I kind of chose to suppress a lot because I just didn't want to be another thing to add on their juggling list. I want to say that was the root cause of my difficulty with emotional expression, and part of the reason why I really struggle with anger specifically. I don't know how to express my anger well. I'm good at expressing sadness and joy and things of that nature, but when it comes to the other difficult emotions like guilt, shame, irritability, anger, I had a lot more challenges with that because I saw those emotions as a burden. I honestly saw all emotions as a burden, but mainly those few. So I always pretended like, hey, I'm good. Matter of fact, do you need help? Don't even worry about me. Do you need help? I took that role as an older sibling, an older daughter, very seriously. I was gonna help my mama with these kids, with my sisters, like help raise them like they my own, and I love them like they are my own till this day, and I still do it. But that was the root of what caused me to struggle with emotional expression. These choices and these behaviors is kind of what reiterated to my brain that you are not deserving of love and acceptance if you express feelings that make other people uncomfortable. If I express that I'm having a hard time with this, or this person hurt my feelings, or I don't feel loved or seen or heard by you, instead of me feeling satisfied with getting that off of my chest and feeling like I've honored how I felt, I was way too caught up in how uncomfortable that was going to make the other person feel. So I never really told my parents, oh, I'm having a hard time with this, or I really need help with this, or XYZ, because I, in my head, was thinking my parents would be like, oh, we already got all these other problems with your other siblings, and now we got to figure out what's going on with Simone. And that was all that I could think about. So I never really wanted to talk about what was going on. Therefore, it was very, I'm not going to say it was hard. I just did not have the strongest idea of self-worth for myself. I didn't really know what I was deserving of. I knew what I longed for. I knew what I dreamt of. I knew what I really, really desired and really wanted, but I never felt like I deserved it, because in order to get those things, you needed to honor your feelings, and you needed to stand up and speak out on how you're feeling and stand on your own personal boundaries. And I had none of those tools at the time. All I knew was how to people please. Through that, another symptom of BPD is chronic feelings of emptiness and situational depression. I thought for a while that I had chronic depression because it just kept happening. Like I would be good and then I would be bad, and then I would be good and then I would be bad for months at a time, and would just fluctuate. Then I learned the term situational depression. Situational depression is a period of depression that is triggered by a stressful or traumatic event. I didn't realize that whenever things got bad for me, it was because of a specific event that happened in my life that triggered the depression. And usually it has something to do with being heartbroken, with being mistreated, or with feeling abandoned. And because I have a very difficult time of letting go of people and I want to say like just experiences, or like people in relationships in general, friendships, that is what triggers the situational depression, because it takes me so long to get over it. It takes me so long to accept that that is what happened, accept the hurt, also understanding the hurt, and being able to pick myself up and dust myself off. Since I was young, I've had to do that by myself. I really, really wanted to have somebody who could be there for me when I was hurt really bad, to pick me up and to give me a hug and to tell me that things were going to be okay. That's what I needed as a child. I definitely needed that as a child. Now, as an adult, I can say that I am strong and resilient enough to understand and accept that that won't always be what's available for me. You won't always have somebody there. And I used to be angry about that. I still am working on the resentment and holding grudges. But I had a lot of resentment and anger towards not having people there for me when I was down. But when I got out of the depression, when I made it to the light at the end of the tunnel, all of a sudden friends and family are like, oh, hey, I'm so glad you're great. We missed you. We loved you. I'm so glad you're doing better. And I would be like, bitch, now you're happy. But like, where were you when I was, where were you when I was locked up in my room and not understanding? But you know what? I stopped putting the blame on them, because gotta look back at myself too. Most of the time I was choosing to self-isolate. I used to feel like, oh, nobody wants to do anything for me. Nobody wants to be there for me. But at the same time, people with borderline personality do self-sabotage. They feel like expressing their emotions is a burden. Therefore, they push people away when they feel the intensity of their emotions. I naturally self-isolate. And I had to start telling myself that, Simone, if you want the help, you need to go ask for it. You're not gonna, like how they say, closed mouths don't get fed. You're not really gonna get help if you're not saying that you need help. You're not gonna get any help. So let me go into depth about the self-isolation and why that is. I mean, I told you kind of sort of why, but let me tell you how it developed for me personally. So I said when I was younger and how I would be mute and I wouldn't really talk about what was going on in my head. You know, whatever I was going through as a child. I was going through a lot. I won't get onto that right now, but I was going through some very serious things that are very unfortunate for somebody that young. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7 years old. I was dealing with some very deep stuff, some very bad things, and like hurt. I think I'll get to a point where I can talk about it. Maybe in this video, maybe in the next video, I don't know. But I was going through some stuff as a kid that like no kid should ever have to experience, and I wasn't even sure how to even talk about it because it was stuff that I couldn't even understand at that age. So whenever I would go through tiny things or very surface level stuff, like just having problems with friends at school, or just little things with like kids and stuff like that, I would try to talk to my parents, or I'd try to tell my mom like, hey, like this person is picking on me, or I don't know, I just, in this class I'm having a hard time with XYZ. And usually whenever I would talk about like a person picking on me, because I did deal with a good amount of bullying as a child, my mom always kind of just brushed it off as like, you know, like, you got to think about what the other kid is going through, or, you know, think about what have you done, or what have you said to make them feel that way towards you, or why do you think that my mom would always try to help me understand the other person's perspective. And you know what? I give her props to that, because now I understand everybody's perspective. I mean, I can get into it with you over anything and can understand exactly where you're coming from. The disconnect was that she didn't teach me how to honor how I felt, only the other person. So that also reiterated to me that my feelings didn't really matter. It was more of how did that person feel and what can I do to change myself so that they accept me and they stop the bullying. And also, whenever I would have emotional outbursts, or whenever I would have periods of like just extreme emotions where I'm crying and I'm having meltdowns and stuff, my parents, or my mom specifically, she would always say, don't show them your tears. Don't cry in front of people. Don't show them you're weak. Go to your room, get it together, come back out, and you're good. Now, I know at this age, my mom meant no harm by that. She genuinely just meant like, you're fine. Go get yourself together, come back out, you're fine. But because she was telling me as a younger child and teenager, preteen, all of that, telling me go to your room, get it out, and come back out, she was reiterating subconsciously to me that tears are not okay. Emotional breakdowns and meltdowns, they're not okay. They make other people uncomfortable. They make her uncomfortable. Don't do it. Go do it in private, come back out, then we can figure out where to go from there. So that is what caused me to naturally self-isolate whenever I would have these periods of depressions, whenever I would get triggered by something and it would cause these emotional outbursts. I'd have to suppress it until I could get somewhere by myself, until I could get locked up in my room and away from people. Then I would let it out by myself. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good. The thing is that like I became very introverted by it. It did have a lot to do with just my generalized anxiety and social anxiety, interacting with people. I stayed to myself a lot. And now that I'm older, like a lot of my friends, they poke fun of it. They're like, you never go out. You always stay in your room. You never want to go anywhere. I have a great amount of fear of being uncomfortable to the rest of the group, because I know that I deal with a more heightened level of sensitivity to a lot of stuff. And so that's part of the reason why I would always make the choice to stay home, stay back, stay to myself. I will go out and do things by myself, do things with my family, or do things with maybe one friend at a time, but like had such difficulty with social interactions and being in group settings because I didn't want to be the person who made everybody else uncomfortable. That was all that was reiterated to me. And to go back to even like the college days when I said like I had that breakup with my ex, and we shared the same friend group at the time, everybody kept making it seem like because I was going through the breakup and I was sad, it was throwing the vibe off, and nobody wanted to hang out with me because Danielle is sad and Danielle's always crying. It's like, why am I not allowed to be sad? Like, it's very, very valid. Like, I just got broken up with. Why can't I? Why? You just expect me to just be all willy-nilly? Like, okay, well, life goes on. No. So that was reiterated to me like a lot, unfortunately. Very unfortunate. I don't hold no ill feelings towards those girls anymore. I used to for so long, but I don't. I wish all of them the best, honestly. I hope that they've grown and learned to. It wasn't personal towards me. I used to take everything personal, and that is another quality of somebody with BPD. They take a lot of stuff personal, which is part of the reason why they're always so heartbroken, because they think everything is directed at them specifically. And they have every right to feel that way because of the things that they have experienced in their life. All of the feelings and thoughts that they have, the anxieties, are through facts, through past friendships and relationships and betrayal. It has happened to them, so of course they're gonna assume that that is the reason when it happens again in the future. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into depth about like my personal experience with my ex from college. Now, like, we're gonna get into that. I'm not gonna name drop. Like, some people know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm sorry to her if she ever sees this, because nobody is shitting on you no more. I just gotta explain this. So, I met my ex freshman year of college. She was there at the right time when I needed somebody, because I had a very difficult time with accepting change. I still have a hard time with accepting changes, and right now I went from living in Dallas to moving to Pittsburgh, Kansas, with people I don't know, living in a dorm. I'm just stressed the fuck out, and I'm nervous, and I needed somebody, and she was there. So that's how we ended up together, and I thought she was just the best person ever. Like I said, when somebody with this personality disorder, when they first meet somebody, they idolize them, they put them up there. To me, she's perfect. She's very social, very secure with herself. People like her, I like her. She helps bring me out of my shell. She is the one showing me around campus and bringing me out to experience things. I drank with her for the first time. I smoked with her for the first time. Did a lot of firsts. She taught me a lot of stuff. She was also my first girlfriend. Like, I've always known, like, since I was young, that I was gay, or at least liked women. But she was my first, like, actual relationship with a woman. And so just everything about that, I'm thinking top tier. Like, I'm gonna get married to this girl. Like, that's it. That's it. No, I was dead wrong. We broke up not even a year later. Like, oh my God, poor me. Anyways, there was, to me, I can still say to this day, I don't think there was much wrong with the relationship, besides just us being very consumed with one another. And honestly, that was the reason that she broke up with me. We did do everything together. We were very dependent on one another. She was very dependent on me. I was very dependent on her. But her reasoning, like, when we broke up, she kind of just more directed it towards me. Like, I was the one who was very dependent, and she felt like I needed to learn how to be comfortable with myself. So she wanted the separation because she felt like that was something I need to learn. And hey, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for that, because at the time I couldn't understand. At the time I was like, why would she do this to me, and what is she talking about? I know who I am, and I just really love this girl, and I just want to be with her. But no, she was right. She was right. So you were right, girl. You were right. Because as soon as we separated, I lost my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I make these jokes all the time and say, like, oh, I'm such a crash out. No, I'm definitely a crash out. I didn't know what to do with myself when she just disappeared. And I'm not gonna say disappeared physically, but just like emotionally cut me off and wanted nothing to do with me, but seemed to be happy and normal with our friends, would still kind of be around and in my face, but I basically just didn't exist to her anymore. I lost my mind. I lost my everlasting mind. I was probably the worst case of anxiety, and it lasted for about 2 years. Worst case of anxiety ever. I mean, first of all, didn't eat for about 3 weeks. Very like the fear of abandonment, remember, it's so great. Like being alone with my intense emotions was so great that I would do anything to not be left by myself with them. So I didn't sleep in my room. I didn't sleep in my bed for about a month. Maybe a month is too long, but I didn't sleep in my bed for a while. I would sleep in the living room on the couch, or I would sleep in the bed with my roommate, the one that I'm not really like, we got into it, but like I would go to bed with her. I could not sleep alone. That was nothing. The depression was horrible. So bad. Like I couldn't focus on nothing. Like going to class was so hard. Like I was just in such a dissociative state, like very much zoned out. Couldn't sit with those emotions. So naturally my body's way of what's the word? Protection was to dissociate, meaning like literally have an out of body experience. I couldn't even feel myself on earth. I feel like I was watching myself interact in the world, but my mind and my soul was somewhere else. It was such a struggle. Not only that, so I'm dealing with that personally, and then I'm also dealing with the immaturity and emotional manipulation from her, because she did a lot of push and pull with me. She would push me away and say she didn't want nothing to do with me, and I needed to learn how to be alone, and I needed to grow up. But then she would have times where she, like I said, we depended on one another, so she would pull back. No, I do need you for this, and I want to talk to you, and I want to be there for you, and we should be friends. And it caused a lot of mixed emotions, because since I'm struggling with being to myself, she provided that temptation of, no, I need you, like, please come back, please come back, please come back, we have to figure this out together, please do this with me, go through this journey with me. All I wanted, remember what I said in earlier, I said I wanted somebody to go through the dark days with me, and I would resent people when they wouldn't, when they would choose not to. I don't resent those people anymore, because going through those times by myself has made me so resilient. And I can sit up here right now and confidently say that I'm a lot stronger than others and some of my peers. I am. But I don't mean that in a way of, oh, I'm better than you. I mean that in a way of, oh, I figured this out, let me help you. It's okay, let me help you, because I've been through that and it was hard. It was. Nobody should ever have to do that by themselves, but sometimes that happens. I got the tools now though, so I want to show you. What I learned through that relationship was that I did have a lot of emotional dependency. I did have a pattern of clinginess, and the fear of abandonment was so obvious. So obvious. It was so freaking obvious that I spiraled out doing everything I could to not accept it. So I was longing for any type of friendships. I mean, I'm hanging out with people who hate me. I'm talking to people who want nothing to do with me. I'm begging people for love. I'm begging people for support. Just hanging out with crowds of people who don't even reciprocate or match my needs and my boundaries. Like, hey, at least they're there. At least I'm not by myself. This person right here, I call them my best friend. She secretly hates me. She don't like nothing. She don't even secretly hate me. It's very obvious she hates me. But I need somebody. She's the only one right here. I need somebody. I need somebody. That's all. Like, that's the only thing that I could say. When I was dealing with this at a younger age, all I kept thinking was, I need somebody. Because ever since I was a child, I felt like I always wanted and needed my parents. I'm not going to say never. Let me stop myself. I'm not going to say never, but there was many times where I did need my parents and they weren't there. They weren't there. They're not perfect people at all. I'm not telling them that they needed to be perfect. I'm not telling them or shaming them for dropping the ball in certain aspects, because that it is what it is. But I did need them. That was just one relationship that I started to learn a little bit more about my negative patterns. The patterns that hindered me, the patterns that, sorry, I got a hiccup, kept me from elevating. I stayed stuck. Like, I was able to notice what was wrong and the patterns, like the clinginess and the emotional dependency, but I didn't have the tools at the time. I didn't know what to do to change that. I didn't know what to do in order to feel better and to feel confident in myself and in my independence. So I went through a period of being stuck. The way I can describe this period, there's fight, flight, or freeze, like people's different reactions to fear. That's what I was trying to say, fear. Mine is freeze. I don't move. I don't make a decision. I go mute. And so I sat in silence and I suffered for the next few years of college. I didn't want to move out of my apartment, even though I was having such a hard time getting along with my roommates after the breakup. I was having a hard time getting away from my ex because she was friends with my roommates and she would often come over to the house even though I didn't want to see her. The obvious answer was to be like, okay, Danielle, you got to move out. But I couldn't. I couldn't. I was so stuck. And it was because I felt like that was the best that I was going to get. I felt like there was nothing better out there for me. I wasn't going to find anybody who cared about me or anybody who recognized me. Anybody who recognized me except for them. And they recognized me in a negative way at the time. They didn't like me. They didn't enjoy being around me. But I didn't believe that there was anybody else out there who was going to enjoy me or love being around me. So I was like, this is all you're going to get. This is the best that you're going to get. It's either this or you go live alone and you cry alone and you suffer alone. And like, I forgive myself. I'm not even going to sit here and be like, oh, Simone, like you should have been got up out of there. You should have been got up out of there, because I did. My last year, I did end up moving out. I did. It took a minute. I give myself compassion because at the time I didn't know what to do. Now, when I'm put in a situation like that where clearly my environment is no longer matching me, I get the fuck up out of there. I do. But I forgive myself for then because I didn't know what I know now. This specific relationship is what led me to seek out professional help, because I did need somebody and I wasn't getting it from my family. I wasn't getting it from my friends at the time, but I needed somebody because I also was like, I don't have the tools to do it on my own yet. So I discovered therapy, first to help me come to terms with it and to dissect it, but then also do some self-discovery because I realized just how empty I was after that. I lost everything. I couldn't run track no more. I had such like a bad mental block. Like I literally could not run. And it was so sad. It was so disappointing because I was really good in high school. I loved it in high school. My team, we were one of the best in the state. Loved running track. And once I lost myself after that breakup and I was still doing it in college, it was like I literally lost the passion. I lost the skill. Like I couldn't run. Like I started getting injuries. I used to brag about this all the time. I never got injuries. Like high school and early college, I was always so healthy, never had any problems. After that breakup and struggling, injury all the time. I hurt my Achilles for a while, hurt my Achilles really bad, made it hard for me to run, hurt my quad, hurt my calf, hurt my knee. I was getting injured a lot. I was struggling in general with feeling accepted by my team and feeling understood by my coaches. I just need some support. I need somebody to say that they get it and they're there for me. If I just can get that from somebody, I can possibly be better. If I can just feel seen by somebody, I can possibly be better. I didn't get that from them, though. My coaches didn't give a fuck. Honestly, they just heard, oh, breakup. That ain't got nothing to do with us. You didn't get it together. Get it together. So, unfortunately, at the time, like me still being so young and just now trying to come to terms with myself, couldn't get it together. I had to quit. I had to quit because the performance wasn't there. My ex was also on the team and she was just tormenting me every day. So were some of the other girls, just always making fun of me, always poking fun at me about like just clearly I'm suffering, and it was like people saw it, but nobody wanted to help. I'm not gonna cry. Sorry guys, I was such a crybaby. It was at the time the best decision for me. I couldn't hold up to it. I was already struggling with school, just trying to find passion somewhere. I was like, I'm losing it. I'm like, I don't have any desire to run. I have any desire for this degree that I'm getting. I don't have any desire to be here. I want to go home. I want to go to my room because something traumatic just happened and I need to get myself together in my room. So I used to cry all the time. I used to call my parents all the time. Take me home, get me out of here. I gotta go. Because there was nowhere I felt safe. I didn't feel safe. I had so many emotions and there was nowhere to go to let them out. I wanted to go home. So, lucky me, I was able to talk to some professors and get some emails going, figure it out, do some rearrangements, and I did get to go home. And I did get my degree, because I pointed it out in the last video. I got my degree. And I got to go home. And while I was at home, I got to do my therapy that I'm still doing to today. And overall, I got to start figuring myself out. Now, this is post graduation from college. I'm still living at home. I'm trying to start my career, start doing my own thing and being independent. But guess what? Throughout all of these different changes, I'm still meeting new people. I'm still making new friends, and I'm still dealing with the very difficult symptoms of BPD and trying to navigate that through every person that I meet. I meet a new girl last year. Well, I didn't meet her last year. I knew her for a while, but the relationship between the two of us started last year. Now, this was a long-distance relationship. This was not, we never really saw each other. We had met in person before, but the whole entire premise of the relationship was long-distance. Now, remember how I said when I first met her, thought she was the most perfect girl ever. Beautiful. Smart. She ran track like me. Overall, just like, yes, like, this is it. I know my last one, I thought that was it, but that wasn't. But this one, this is it. Held her up here. I mean, she's calling me every day. She's being so sweet to me. She's telling me all the things that I want to hear. I just feel so loved. I just feel so cared for. I just feel so seen and appreciated by her. I'm like, this is my wife. This is my wife. That's what I was thinking. That's how I thought it was. If we're being honest, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. She was very inconsistent. She had a hard time with solidifying a relationship or like fully committing because of the distance. She was back and forth on it. Like, I don't know if I should do long distance. I don't know. And in the middle of the year, like right in the summer, I was trying to be strong. I was trying to really just like, okay, Simone, she's not exactly wanting to commit, and you can't keep wasting your time on potential. I know you really love this girl, but come on now. We can't go through the heartbreak again. Come on now. Like, I'm trying to avoid the inevitable, which is heartbreak. I'm trying so hard to avoid it. So in the middle of the year, I thought, you know what? Since we're not exclusive, let me just keep date around here in my state. Let me go do something else in the meantime. And that's what I did. I found another girl who I thought was also the one. Everybody seems to be the one for me, but no, I found another girl. Started dating her. Things seemed to be going well, and it was really nice because she was here physically. So we got to actually go on dates and really be intimate and really get to know one another. At the time, long distance girl wasn't really talking to me, but after a while, she finally she got a sense of something and literally texted me one day and was like, you seeing somebody? And I finally was like, yeah, but because you wasn't trying to, you acted like you didn't want me, so I just went and tried to find somebody else who wanted me. And honestly, like, it turned into she crashed out on me, making it seem like I was cheating on her or lying to her and and just, she got me. She made me feel like I was completely in the wrong for that. And basically said she wanted another chance at trying to commit and being exclusive. She said, no, I do want you. Matter of fact, I do want to try to move to Dallas. I want to be with you. You belong to me. And remember, I was like, that's supposed to be wifey right there. So I was like, I was in a very, very difficult decision. It took me a minute. It took me a long minute, but I finally told the new girl that I met, I was like, we gonna have to cut this off. She's finally telling me the things that I've been waiting to hear. I gotta go back and see what that's about. I got to. And I did. So for the rest of the year, we was back on a high. I mean, calling me on the phone every day, sending me money and presents, and making plans to see each other. Nothing ever fell through, but making plans to see each other. I was on high. The whole second half of 2023, I was my girl. That wasn't my girl. Going towards Christmas time, the lovey-dovey puppy phase, it died out, like how it does with every single relationship. It died out, and that's when the anxiety started to arise. That fear of abandonment started to come up, and I started freaking the hell out. What's going on? Why are you not wanting to call me? You went from texting me 24/7, now you barely even want to say good morning. It's Christmas time. You don't even want to say Merry Christmas? Are we okay? Are you okay? Are you mad at me? What did I do? What did I do? Please tell me what's wrong with me. Let me stop myself right there. Having and living with BPD, you automatically assume it's always you, because you feel like it's the emotions, the sensitivity. That's the thing that nobody likes. So you try so hard to suppress it, to feel loved and accepted. And that's what was going on with this specific relationship. I was like, oh no, I'm being too clingy. I'm getting on her nerves. She's pulling away because she's saying I'm too much. It was freaking me out. Now I'm losing my mind. Now I can't sleep. Now I can't eat. Now I'm having panic attacks at work, because she doesn't want to talk to me and she won't tell me what's going on. My assumptions are so mean. They're so wrong. They're so loud. My assumptions are always going to say, it's you. You're unworthy. You don't deserve this person. So I would always beg for that person to tell me something otherwise, because I'm like, my brain is mean to me. It is. It's so mean to me. So please tell me something else. Please tell me something better. And she didn't want to give me an explanation. Matter of fact, she was so irritated by me constantly begging for an explanation, she finally said, you know what? It's a wrap. I don't want this no more. You're actually getting on my nerves. I don't want anything to do with you. Bye. She ghosted December 31st, the very last day of 2023. So I got to start my New Year's losing my mind. I mean, I was like, you thought my first crash out was bad? That was probably the worst that I ever crashed out. She left me with absolutely zero closure, and because she was long distant, never got to see her face, cut me off on social media. I'm blocked everywhere. Like, she's out of sight, out of mind, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out, does she even exist? What just happened? I just spent my entire year on this person and they're gone. I could not stop talking about it with my friends. I was all over social media, just tripping, like impulsive. I mean, getting tattoos and spending my money and just making the dumbest decisions, like just all over the place. And then at that time, the beginning of 2024, I was getting ready to move out and go live in that apartment that I shown in the beginning of my YouTube. I was getting ready to move out, and I'm struggling with money. Because I'm just all over the place. I don't know what to think. I have zero confidence. That, her leaving me like that, confidence now down. Remember, situational depression. So that was the trigger. Went into depression. If you know anybody who relates to this, I pray for you, and it's okay. We're in this together. The anxiety was so bad, and it did turn physical. So I was having a lot of panic attacks and heart palpitations. Is that how you say it? Palpitations or whatever, palpitations? Chest pains. I get that a lot when I'm really struggling with shortness of breath, difficulty sleeping. We'll wake up at like 2, 3 in the morning every single day, drenched in sweat. I don't sweat in my sleep. I barely sweat at all. I can't eat. By the time that I moved out and I was settled into my new apartment and I'm away from my family, so now I'm dealing with this and I'm not in my safe space. Remember, this is my childhood bedroom. I'm not in my safe space no more. I'm at a new apartment. I'm freaking the hell out. And I'm still going to therapy and talking through it, but I am struggling because my confidence went down. I didn't believe in myself. And I'm like, fuck, I just went through a breakup. I cannot do this again. No, I can't do it again. But guess what? So whether I like it or not, I was still gonna go through it. There's no way around it. What I had to learn from this specific breakup was acceptance without closure. He disappeared, and that was that. No other explanation. So I'm left with my thoughts and with my own assumptions. And remember, I said my brain was mean. The brain is, see, you was too much. You were too clingy, and that person now hates you. That was your fault. So now I'm struggling with the suicidal thoughts. It happens. Luckily for me, I don't act upon them, but I do struggle with the internal monologue that is so incredibly hurtful. So here are my distractions. We smoking weed, we're drinking, we are looking for other relationships. What I'm trying to learn is how to fight those negative thought patterns. Rewire. That's what my counselor says all the time. Rewire. I now had a new goal for the new year that I wanted to be able to achieve, and that is emotional detachment. I was like, yeah, this is just so much. Like, this is a lot. I gotta learn how to separate myself from that. That's a lot. It's a lot for other people, and it's a lot for me. It takes a toll on my body. I'm exhausted, physically ill. We gotta figure out how to emotionally detach. So I went on my, little Google AI and let them read my journey of understanding emotional detachment, and this is what AI has to say. The author's understanding of emotional detachment involves significantly through their journal entries, shifting from a superficial attempt to suppress emotions and distance herself from others to more of a nuanced and insightful approach that centers on managing anxiety and building self-trust. When I first decided to embark on this journey of emotional detachment, I was thinking it meant you gotta figure out how to numb yourself, how to suppress, and pick a time and a place to express those emotions. Basically what I've already been doing. So I don't know why I thought you just need to learn how to just shut up, don't cry, don't show the tears, and act like you don't care. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, they betrayed me, but that didn't hurt my feelings. And matter of fact, I'm not even gonna let anybody get close to me, because if I do, then I'm gonna have a lot of anxiety that builds up, and I'm avoiding that because it's hard to get through. It's hard to bring myself back down. It's hard to regulate my emotions once I skyrocket and spiral out. I don't even want to get to that point no more, so nobody gets a chance to experience me. I met a new friend. Just as soon as I said, yeah, I'm not with nobody, I can't do this again. It was like the universe or God, whoever you believe in, whoever you believe is in charge of this earth and our souls. They gave me another person and they said, no, bitch, you're about to figure this out now. You can't figure it out by yourself. So here's another person. You're about to figure it out now. I met a new friend and I said, she's perfect. Back on the pedestal. We became friends in the most random ass way. Like, that's how I knew, like, God just said, here, you about to figure it out. Because the way we became friends was so specific and random. Like, followed each other on Instagram. Then we like, okay, let's exchange numbers. And then we get on the phone and we chit-chatting it up. And she's like, girl, you cool. I'm like, girl, you cool too? I like the vibe. I like this girl. And she enjoyed traveling a lot. So she's like, I gotta come to Dallas. Because mind you, she don't live here. She's another long distance person. I gotta come to Dallas. I gotta meet you. So I'm like, oh my God, like this person, they just love me. Like I done put on a great first impression. This is amazing. Yes. And I'm thinking God gave me this person because they were like, you need some loving right now. So here, that was gonna be another lesson. But I was like, yes, thank you, God. Thank you, God. I got somebody. Because I can't go through this alone. So I made a new friend during the summer. And it was a very short journey that I went through. But I learned a lot. Started off real big, real grand. I mean, clingy. Like, you thought the last couple of girls, we was really, like, locked in. Man, me and this girl, we was locked in. That was my bestie right there. We talking all the time. We open it up about everything, about our lives, about what we go through, and our just everything. Like, this was the depth that I've had craved through past relationships. I didn't have the same amount of depth with the other long distance girl or with my ex. That's what I want. She's getting me. She gets me. And trust me, I was still worried. Like, oh, am I going to end up pushing her away because I'm so clingy and so sensitive? If she's going to end up not liking it and being like, yeah, too much, gotta go. I was nervous. So I was clear about it in the beginning. I didn't tell her that I had BPD, but I said, hey, I struggle with anxiety. Like it's an ongoing challenge. I get help from therapy and through my own personal journaling. Like I help myself with it, but I just want to let you know, I struggle with these things and it does tend to make me emotionally dependent sometimes. I hope that this clinginess doesn't push you away. The first step to learning and accepting my condition was just to be open, honest, and vulnerable about it. Hey, this is me. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is how I act. And I just need to know whether or not that's okay with you. I mean, are you gonna accept it? She told me in Jump, she said, oh, I love who you are and it's okay. She gave me the reassurance that I needed. I love who you are and I love clingy friends because I'm clingy too. Be yourself. So, I mean, I had a summer with her. Like we was just locked in. That was my bestie girl. I felt like I could truly be who I was because she said it's okay to be you. I was only feeling comfortable to be myself because she said it was okay. When in reality, I needed to be telling myself, you are okay. I am okay. No matter what she said, no matter what other people said, I'm okay to be who I am. But at the time, I thought everything was cool, fine, and dandy because she said, you're okay to be you. So we had a summer. She visited me twice. I had a blast with her. And then the honeymoon phase died down. She started being distant. She didn't want to call all the time. She didn't really want to text back. She started to be a little annoyed at just the amount of, communication that we had with one another. So guess what? The anxiety is building up. That fear of abandonment is coming up. And now I'm anticipating, oh no, I've seen this happen before. She's about to go. She's about to go. She's about to go. She's getting ready to tell me it's time for me to go. Now I'm scared. Here is where I made a change. Remember, I said the shifting, the emotional detachment is the goal. I shifted from suppressing the emotions to accepting the anxiety and building self-trust. So I had to start rewiring those thoughts. I had to start telling myself, okay, I'm scared right now. I'm scared that this girl is going to leave me like how others have left me. I've been through this before and I survived it. If she does end up doing exactly what the last person did, I trust myself that I will survive the grief and the heartbreak. So I stopped being afraid of the inevitable. You're going to get anxious. You're nervous right now because she's not communicating in the same way that she was in the beginning. You're nervous and there's a lot of room for assumptions. I know I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I had to tell myself, even if I wasn't sure, I just had to keep telling myself, you're going to be okay. If she does the very thing that you're afraid of doing, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Not really sure what's going on. Me personally, I don't feel like I've done anything wrong. I haven't really changed my behavior, but I'm noticing a change in your behavior. Just want to know, are you okay? See how I didn't, like the last time, the other people I kept saying, what did I do? Is it something with me? Do I need to change? I no longer started asking myself, is it me? I started saying, is it you? Are you okay? Is there something that I should know about you? I opened that door so I can no longer look back at myself and think it's you, it's you, it's you. And I'm now rewiring my affirmations and helping building that self-worth by reminding myself, hey, it's not always you. Sometimes it's the other person. Hey, it's not always personal to you. Sometimes it's the other person. Ask them. What's the worst that could happen? They don't say nothing. Okay, but at least you asked them. She told me things were fine, but like I was just really noticing a change in behavior. I was noticing a great change in behavior because it wasn't just her not really wanting to communicate with me, but also my birthday was coming up at the time. My birthday just passed last week, by the way. We were supposed to spend time with each other, and I was just kind of wondering, was those plans still in play, or was she just not wanting to do it no more? Because she had a lot of complaints, just a lot of complaints about our friendship and the plans. So I was just kind of having a dilemma of like, okay, what do we need to do? I cannot make her answer me. I cannot make her give me a solution. I did open the door, but she didn't have any answers for me. Now it's back on me. I was like, well, my birthday's coming up. I'm not even gonna put the pressure on her because yes, I do want to spend time with her on my birthday, but this is my birthday. It's up to me to have a good time. And even if I'm not gonna be able to spend that time with her, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna be miserable or not have a good time, because that's on me. Remember, my anxiety is always because of I want things to go a certain way. I want things to go as planned, and I freak out when things don't go as planned. I'm starting to tell myself, hey, you've been through this type of stuff before. You've had things change, and guess what? You're still here. You didn't die. Your birthday is probably not gonna look like how you thought it would. You may or may not spend your time with her, but guess what? You're still gonna be okay. Birthday comes around, I have a blast. I'm having a blast. I went to New York, by the way. I went to New York. Had so much fun. But guess what? I ended up falling out with her. I don't want to specify the exact reasons of what happened, just because I don't want to put her business out there. Like, even though we fell out. No, I'm not in her best graces and she's not in my best graces, but I don't want to put that girl business out there. I know I was being a little petty on social media and stuff like that, but this is my actual YouTube platform, and I'm assuming that lots of people are gonna see this. I'm not gonna throw her out there like that, but we ended up falling out. Usually I would be so depressed and heartbroken, like, fuck, lost another person. Dang, what did I do? And what could I have done differently? Y'all, I'm okay. I'm okay because I told myself from the beginning, she may disappoint you because she's not a perfect person. You had her on the pedestal at first and you thought, oh, she's everything. This is gonna be your bestie for life. But she's a human being, and human beings are gonna make mistakes, and they're not gonna always live up to your expectations. So once I took her off and I said, hey, she might disappoint you, I became very okay with it. She disappointed me. My feelings are very hurt from some of the things that she did and some of the things that she said to me. I'm okay. I'm okay. Those are my little stories to describe how I navigated through this personality disorder. I do want to say that BPD does not have a specific cure. There are ways to help cope with it. You can do therapy. You can do journaling like me. You can take medication for anxiety or depression if you want to. There's many ways to go about it, but I do want to say that unfortunately it does not fully go away. This is something that I'm gonna always have to live with. And at first I used to hate myself for it. I thought that there was something wrong with me. I thought that God messed up when he made me. I thought, why me, why me, why me? I just want friends. I just want a wife. I just want to feel loved. I just want to be happy. And I'm having such a hard time struggling with my very intense emotions and my depression that keeps peeking in and peeking out, and it's making everybody uncomfortable. Why me? God is random. Nothing personal. Now it's more of, this is me, and guess what? I still deserve the friends and the love and the money and the happiness. I still deserve it. Because I'm a human like everybody else. No, I'm not perfect. I wanted to be so badly. I thought being perfect was to just have it together and be emotionally stable and, you know, just overall just secure. But no, I'm far from it. I have a lot of insecurities. I do. And me doing this YouTube, like, I'm not sitting here trying to give a testimony of, oh, I went through all these things and now I'm better. Now I'm better and let me teach you how to be better. No. This YouTube is to show you guys that I am far from okay. But I can handle it. And you can handle it too. I used to compare myself a lot to my peers, thinking like everybody else had it figured out. And I'm the only one who's losing my brain, losing my mind up here. Like nobody else thinks like me. But okay, just because I'm suffering up here in my internal monologue, this other person is suffering with this thing. And this other person may be suffering with that thing. They may be suffering with stuff that I have it together in. That's why I said everybody got their own issues. I feel like if I show you guys that is normal to be unstable, then everybody else, or even if it's not everybody, even if I don't make a difference to a whole group of people, even if it's just one person, that still matters. To me, it does. It's why I work with kids. It's so important to me to teach other people to love who they are, because you may not be able to get that validation from other people. You may not be getting it at home or getting it at school or getting it from friends and family, whatever. But what's so important is how you think of yourself. I still struggle to be happy, content, and satisfied with who I am as a person. It is going to continuously be an ongoing process. I got it together, and then points where I'm like, no, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing it again. I'm suicidal again. Like, no, this can't happen. This can't happen. I was doing so good. What's going on? That's normal. I'm here to tell you it's okay. So I'm gonna cut it off right here. I don't mean to be so long-winded, but if you have any other comments, questions, stories, any advice, anything you want to say, you can reach out to me through my Instagram. My Twitter is about the same. My TikTok is about the same. I'll put all of that in the description. Like, comment, share to a friend, share to a mom. I really don't care. It doesn't matter to me about subscribers or how many likes, how many views. I appreciate anything, but this does not matter. Whoever this video is meant for, it will reach out to them. That's me. I just want to say thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And if you learned something, that's great. I love you from the bottom of my heart, how I'm trying to love myself. And I hope you guys have a great day. So thank you.